Hey everyone, this is a small theory video based on the Toby Fox Summer 2024 newsletter. After I posted my last video on it, I've had time to look into the subject further, and in this video I will be covering some interesting things I may have discovered that point to Toby Fox revealing a new character for Deltarune Chapter 3 right under our very noses. However, before we start, I'd like to humbly ask you to like this video, as people like you giving engagement helps grow the reach of small channels like mine to wider audiences. With that out of the way, we can begin. As many of you know, and to the joy of many content-starved Deltarune fans, a newsletter covering the current status of Deltarune was released on July 30th, 2024. If you are unaware of this, I have linked both the newsletter itself and my video where I read the newsletter in the description. Now, in part of the most recent newsletter, Toby mentions Chariel, the living room chair in Toriel's living room, which also happens to be the chair that Toriel falls asleep in at the end of Chapter 2. Something to consider is that Chariel, being a chair, is an object, and while not all objects come to life in the Dark World, the fact that Chariel has a name could set up for them being a side character in Chapter 3. Now, if I was forced to guess right now about what Chariel's role would be in the story, which is what I am doing for the sake of this video, I would say that they work for Chapter 3's villain and have captured Toriel. While it may seem like I'm jumping to conclusions here, I have some evidence that backs this up. There are two parts to my claim: the claim that Chariel works for Chapter 3's villain, and the claim that Chariel will capture Toriel. Because the second claim mostly relies on the first, and because explaining the second claim before the first claim makes no sense, I will start by explaining the first. So far, our only examples of people who could possibly work for Chapter 3's villain are Lenino and Elnina, two romantically involved weather-based characters who, according to teasers, always stick together. However, I believe that the best evidence we have pointing to Chariel's involvement with the Big Bad lies in a pattern already established by Chapters 1 and 2. Now, patterns in Deltarune are an interesting topic by themselves and deserve a video of their own, but today I am focused on one in particular. In both chapters of Deltarune, the light world version of the main villains, like King and Queen, are found right next to objects that correspond with darkners that serve them. In Chapter 1, King's closest relationships are with Rules and Lancer, along with having troops of Hathies and Rudens. All of these darkners are represented in the light world by playing cards, and there's a large collection of playing cards in the closet, which would be safe to assume where the Spade Royal family lives. In Chapter 2, Queen's closest allies are the Swatch, Task Manager, and the Swatchlings, all of which are represented by computer programs. Since Queen is literally a high-end laptop in the light world, she would house all of these programs, and would therefore be found extremely close to them, to the point that they are literally inside her. As you may have guessed, the reason I point this out is that it is almost proven that the main villain of the Chapter 3 will be the television, and few objects are closer to the television than Chariel. If this theory ends up being correct, then we may want to look out for this pattern in future chapters. Now onto my second claim, that Chariel will capture Toriel. When the Dark Fount was made, Toriel was asleep on Chariel, which would make her very easy to capture if Chariel had sinister intentions, assuming that where people appear in the Dark World is relative to where they were before it opened. Therefore, if a villain that Chariel works for wants to capture Lightner, like Queen did in Chapter 2, it would be very easy for them. Also, I would like to point out that of Chris, Susie, Toriel, and possibly Undyne, Toriel is the closest to the TV, meaning that if Chapter 3's villain wanted to capture someone, it would be easiest to capture Toriel. Now, this might be a good short summary of what I think Chariel's role will be, but I think there's more we can predict. Going back to the newsletter for more clues, Toby brings up his friend asking for all the other chairs to have names as well. I think that this could be a subtle hint at there being other unnamed chair characters, being Dark World versions of the 4 dining table chairs, or the chair sitting across from Chariel. Perhaps they would act as a kind of basic enemy, where you are shown the name of their species, but not their individual names. If this were indeed the case, Chariel could be the boss of these weaker, unnamed chairs, like a task manager and task situation. The last thing that I would consider is something shown to us far before the Summer 2024 newsletter in the Smampton Sweepstakes. One of the many different things hidden in the various links was a page with the URL deltarune.com/chair, depicting a chair with a blanket resting atop it with the caption, "But what if it could?" Clicking on the chair would play water-like noises, corrupt the sprite, and change the caption to "Get darker than dark." Additionally, clicking and dragging on the image of the chair would reveal a pair of yellow and pink eyes, not unlike Spamton's. While I am unsure of what exactly this could mean, and am not about to launch into a theory about how Chariel's second cousin thrice removed works for Dr. Wingus Dingus Gaster himself, I figured it would be a good idea to bring this up in the video because of the chair imagery. Well, that's my mini theory. Before I end this video, I have to ask those of you who made it to the end to subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and leave your thoughts and feedback in the comments. As I mentioned earlier, engagement is very helpful to small channels. I'm also looking for new ideas for videos, so you can leave suggestions in the comments as well. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.